Ryan and Boris here at Ground Control, coming at you with one last sweep from the full guard position. This is my favorite sweep to hit from full guard. I even hit it still now in training. It's going to be similar to the pendulum sweep in the sense that we're going to angle off and really use one leg to load his weight and take him over, but it's a little bit different where we don't need the same timing with that big swing, and that's why I like it so much. So this is almost a pendulum sweep for people who are bad at the pendulum sweep. So we'll start with our grips. Now, we're going to get into an entire series of full guard with this specific grip structure, but this is just going to be one part of the series that we do. So I'm actually going to go with a cross sleeve. Now, when I do my cross sleeve grip, this is pretty important, and I'll explain why. But my thumb enters and I establish my cat's paw, and now before I do anything else, I take my thumb out of the cat's paw. And we'll go into why we do that in a little bit. Now I'm going to establish a lapel grip on the same side. So my thumb enters, and I'm going to go ahead and roll my knuckles towards the same side. So I'm controlling this complete side of Boris's upper body. Now I lift my hips, and from here I'm going to do a reverse crunch. I'm going to take my knee on that same side, start bringing it towards my elbow, and my hips are going to blade into the opposite direction. So as I pull. Now the reason why I like to have my thumb out in the cat's paw is because I switch to a modified pistol grip from here. I'm actually going to roll my wrist and start straightening my arm out. If I keep my thumb inside and I keep a cat's paw grip the entire time, it's tough for me to lock out my elbow. So my thumb coming out allows me to lock my elbow. It's going to make it very difficult for Boris to get his elbow back across my center line. So now I release the lapel grip, and I'm going to come right towards the far lat of Boris. As I do this, I'm also going to hip so that my hips line up with his far side quad. And now you see there is a path to the back here that we can do. And that's going to be part of the series later on. But we're going to go into the guy squaring his upper body back up with us. Exactly, yeah. So this is going to make it tough. He's going to try to make himself more parallel. So as he does that, I keep my grip onto the lat, and I really close off my elbow, and I bring my head in towards Boris. Now, I want to really seal off everything nice and tight so he can't get this elbow back past my center line. So as I have it, I'm keeping it nice and tight. From here, I can release the grip. And now my arm is going to come back of my hand, is coming right underneath his knee at his hamstring, and now I start looking to angle myself off. So as I angle off, one thing I try to do is I try to get a cradle position. So I'm going to pinch my elbows together inward, and as I'm angling, I want to try to get this knee just slightly off the mat. Now it's time to execute the sweep, now that I got him nice and tight. So my foot on the other side releases contact with the hip, I post to the mat, and now I'm going to do small bridges in a circle as I bring my head closer and closer to Boris's knee. Now he's nice and loaded towards me, and he's also nice and tight with my elbows. The last thing I do is I do my leg press, and I do a hard bridge, and then I open my hip in order to finish the same way that we did within the pendulum sweep. So we'll go through one more time. I'm going to go ahead to my cat's paw grip and then remove my thumb. So I'm still rolling my fingers over, but my thumb is going to be on the outside rather than the inside. My hand on the opposite side, we're going to do a reverse crunch, and I get a lapel grip. I like to stay right around his collarbone. I don't want to be super low, but I don't necessarily need to be super deep either. I'm going to go with my knuckles rolled right towards the collarbone. From here, my hips come up. I'm going to give a pull across my center line. As I pull onto the lapel, I shift my hips outward into the opposite direction. Notice I still have my full guard maintained. From here, I switch to my modified pistol grip. It's really important, I don't know if you guys caught that one there, but if I try to straighten out now with his hand over top, it's going to be tough for me to lock the elbow. So I might need to open my elbow so that his hand is on the other side, and now I straighten. Once I'm straightened, it's going to be very tough to get this elbow back across. So I want to keep that elbow nice and locked out. My hand is going to come over and start reaching towards the lat, and my head comes in. My elbow is closed. Partners are going to try to square back up because they recognize the back is being exposed. So from right here, my elbow stays closed. I can release my grip, and the back of my hand comes right underneath the hamstring on the other side. My foot goes to the hip now. I'm gonna do a slight bridge, get my elbow under the crease of his knee, still staying nice and tight and really pinching my elbows. Once I feel like I'm in a tight cradle position, I remove contact with the hip, foot goes to the mat, and now it's gonna be me lifting my hips and just walking in a circle. Small steps until I'm all the way under, then I do my big bridge and come up towards the mount position. And that's the pendulum sweep for people who are really bad at the pendulum sweep.